Hey guys, I wanted to talk to you about two types of drinking water, two sources of drinking water. Because for the most part, that's where we get our water from, is these two sources. The first source is surface water, and that's your rivers and not well, your rivers, your streams. Not necessarily streams, but streams lead into rivers and they lead into lakes and reservoirs, and so that's where we get our water from. When it rains, it goes down hills, comes off the surface streets, and it goes into your streams, and then your streams into your rivers, and then um, your water treatment plants take this water out of your large rivers and lakes and reservoirs, and they treat it, and they put chlorine in it to kill the bacteria, and it's chlorinated for a long length of time to make sure that the bacteria that goes through there is dead. Because the fact of the matter is, people are dumping stuff in the street, they dump stuff in streams, they dump stuff in rivers, and so that stuff gets into the water, and when it's in the water, it creates bacteria. Not to mention fish and other animals that may die and get in the river, and their body floats down there. And I'm not trying to gross you out, but what I'm trying to do is give you a sense of where your drinking water comes from, because most of you know I'm a water fanatic kind of guy. I believe in water softeners if you have hard water, and how to talk to you about filtering out iron, but most importantly, it's about our health. And so, if our bodies are 75% water, and I don't mean if like I don't believe them, but since they are, we need to put clean water into our bodies. And oftentimes we just take it for granted that we're drinking clean water. And so when you drink water from surface water, from lakes and streams and or lakes and rivers and reservoirs, they put chlorine in it. Well, chlorine is caustic. I've seen chlorine eat wood, just drip, drip, drip out of a chlorinator, had a leak in it, and it ate the wood up. And, this just doesn't bleach out your clothes and put holes in them. It eats wood. It eats metal. Chlorine is very caustic. And then when you ingest it, guess what it's doing to your body? It's probably eating your body. And we wonder sometimes, why we have cancer. But I guess the EPA, I think it was the article I read, said that there's no cause from chlorine to cause cancer. I don't know, you be the judge. But what I did want to say is, you got to think about what goes into our lakes and what goes into our rivers. I worked at a wastewater treatment plant, and if you've seen some of my videos, you've heard this story. But a wastewater treatment plant takes in all the human waste, whether it's solids or not solids, and inside, when people urinate, they get rid of their blood pressure medicine, they get rid of their birth control pills, they get rid of their narcotic medicine, and all that stuff goes into the wastewater treatment plant. Nothing gets filtered out. The only thing that doesn't go through the plant are heavy solids like paper towels that don't get chewed up, plastic. Saw a bunch of Top Ramen noodle bags. Found drugs in there, heroin. There's all kinds of stuff that comes down through into the wastewater treatment plant. People's pictures, etc., etc. I can go on and on. Actually, one wastewater treatment plant, I talked to a guy. It was a huge one, and his time there, they found 3 fetuses. So everything goes to the wastewater treatment plant, and nothing is filtered out. If it's a solid, it's caught and it's thrown in the dumpster, with the exception of the fetuses. But all the other stuff that's in the water, the chemicals and everything else, it gets chlorinated to kill bacteria. See, we aerated it and we created bacteria to eat up all the solids, and then when it went out, it was just plain old water with chlorine in it. And then we put sulfur dioxide on it, and it got rid of the chlorine right away. So when it went into the river, a very well-known river, there was no chlorine in it. But what went through into the river was people's blood pressure medicine, birth control medication, all the other stuff that our bodies ingest and pass through because it's not filtered out. And that goes into the river, and then down the river at the next city, guess what they do? They pull this very same water out, and they put it back into the public water system. So, I said that to say you need to have clean drinking water to save your life. Your body is 75% water. You need to have clean drinking water when you drink water. So your first source is surface water. Your second source are water wells, or what we call groundwater. Municipalities will drill a well, they pump it out of the well. If it's got iron in it, they'll use a I can't recall what it is at the moment, but they knock out the iron. When they chlorinate it, the iron falls out because they have to chlorinate it to make sure there's no bacteria in it. And then they send it out into the public water system. Well, what are you ingesting in your body? You're ingesting chlorine. Flint, Michigan, they were ingesting lead. And if you're in some parts of the country where they're fracking, nobody knows what's getting in the water, the public water systems, from fracking. Now, we had a lady that my business helped some years ago. They were fracking near her house. The air was making her sick. The water was making her sick. And so she went and had her water tested. Well, in her water, there was strontium, barium, cadmium, and some other stuff. So I installed a water softener because a water softener removes those things from the water. But that's only because she had a physical reaction. She had herself tested. She had the water tested. She had the air tested. She got the EPA involved. It was a big deal because this oil well or oil field company was out there fracking near her. And she was sick. Her daughter was getting nosebleeds and stuff. It was a terrible situation. But they would not put a reverse osmosis system in. And I'm thinking, hello. Well, now let's talk about groundwater in areas where there's fracking. Nobody checks that water to see if there's chemicals in it from the oil field. Nobody does that. That water is pumped into a storage tank and chlorinated, and it's pumped out into the systems. And the reason I know that is because I used to pull those pumps. And I used to work on those systems. And so I have practical experience. That's why I always say, it doesn't make a difference if you have surface water or groundwater. You never know what's in your water. And when it comes to your faucet, and we drink it all day long, and really, for the most part, people aren't dying from their water. They're really not. But they might be dying from the side effects of what's in the water. And we attribute it to something else, and we don't really attribute it to water. And the easy fix is a reverse osmosis system. I never drink public water. I'll eat a whole meal without drinking public water. And when I go to a restaurant, I ask the people, I said, or the waitress, I say, is this water treated? And she says, yes. And I put my nose to it, and I can smell the chlorine. It's normally I ask them, is the water filtered? Because treated is different. If you put chlorine in it to kill bacteria, then it's been treated. But I ask them, is it filtered? And they say yes. And I put my nose to it, and I can smell the chlorine. No, water's not filtered. They see a little filter that the water runs through, and that typically is supposed to be a scale preventer. And that is supposed to change the molecular structure of the calcium ions in the water so they don't stick. And some of them work, some of them don't, but it's not a filter. It doesn't filter out anything. And so I say, okay, and I just put that glass of water up there and I leave it. I don't drink it because it's got chlorine in it. I want to live to be old. I don't want cancer from chlorine. I don't want cancer from anything. I don't want cancer, period. And I don't want to drink chlorinated water because I don't believe it's good for you. And so I'll drink bottled water. Now, the problem with bottled water sometimes is you open up the cap and you smell it, and guess what? You can smell chlorine in it because they didn't change their filters on the reverse osmosis systems. Because in Texas, if you sell bottled water, on the label it's supposed to say how it was treated, whether it was reverse osmosis, ozone, ultrafiltration, which I'm not really sure what that is. I've tried to do some research, and there's no specific answer. Everyone knows what reverse osmosis is. Everyone knows what ozone is. And for instance, I have a friend of mine who sells bottled water, and she filters it with carbon, she softens it, she puts it in the bottle, and then she shoots ozone in there, make sure no bacteria makes it the rest of the way. And that's how she does it. But she doesn't use reverse osmosis. But she pulls out of a well, and the carbon will probably take care of what she may have in the well. Carbon takes out a lot of stuff. So if you don't want to buy a reverse osmosis system and get 98-99% pure water, then get a little carbon filter, stick it under your sink so your cold water runs through it, and when you drink cold water, you are drinking, for the most part, pretty clean water. They use carbon suits to get rid of all the chemicals that's in the air for war, in wartime. Those, what we call nuclear, biological, chemical warfare suits, they're carbon. They're made up of carbon, and so that protects us. So carbon's a great filtration media. And when you buy a reverse osmosis system, the first one, typically if it's a 5-stage, the first one is a sediment filter. The second one is a granular activated carbon, just carbon particles. The third one is a carbon block, which blocks out everything down to a half of a micron. Now, a red blood cell is 5 microns, so that tells you how much it filters down to. And then it goes into a membrane, which is basically like plastic, and it's got to pressurize and push it through there, and then it will go to a storage tank, and then from that little storage tank, it goes through another carbon filter and then out your faucet. So the water you get tastes like nothing but water, and it's 98-99% unadulterated water. And I say 98 to 99% because it just depends on how much water's gone through there, what's been in your water. And so I can't tell you that it's 100% clean unless, of course, we ran it through there, tested it, and that we found nothing. So I'll say 98-99% pure. That means sodium, that means all your chlorine, your fluoride, everything. Now, see, a carbon filter will not take out fluoride. It has to go through the reverse osmosis process of that membrane. That's the only thing that will take out fluoride. And fluoride is a byproduct of metal production. I know they put it in our teeth. They tell us kids it's great, but I'm telling you, do some research. It's a byproduct of metal production. It's also called the silent killer. So anyways, back to the main title. The 2 types of drinking water are surface water and groundwater. And really there's like 4 types. Then there's water that's not good for you, and then there's reverse osmosis water, which is healthy to drink. So if this video was helpful to you and gave you some information, then give us a thumbs up. If you don't subscribe, then subscribe to our channel so when we make more videos and give you more information, you'll get an email notice for it. I want to say thank you for watching our video. If you have any comments, please leave them. And sorry about this shadow. I'm trying not to get in there. I live amongst trees, and so I have so many trees by my place that I can't even have a satellite dish. So sorry about the moving back and forth so you can see me. Just can't find a place in the sun so that you can see my face. Anyways, I appreciate your time. Thank you, and you guys have a great day.